And where?
And welcome. Well, to the guy whose webcam is about to fall off the thing. There we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the left. The left? The alt left.
Oh, are we really going there?
I was not going to go there, but there we go. Welcome to the Crafty Boys. This is episode 113. This week, Dave chose the beer. Do you think we could all find it readily and available? No!
Yes!
However, Dave, we have a story that Alan discovered when he picked up his beer. But before we start anything else, Dave, tell us about this beer. Why did you choose it? Where is it from? And how awesome is it?
Okay, let's see if I can go in ascending order here. How awesome is it? That remains to be seen.
What order?
Ascending order. So, where's it?
What ending order? Thank you, everyone. Try the veal.
Which is wrong. Okay. Ascending order.
Dave,
okay, go.
Got to.
You need new writers. That's all I'm saying. Good. I'll bring my microphone down so you won't actually be able to hear me.
The editors can bite me. Okay. So this beer comes from the fine town of Fernie in the interior of our fine province that is at present burning up, apparently. Maybe it's because there's not enough Fernie Brewing at the moment, and they just dried up like a desert, you know? Because we've got all their beer. So this is the Slow Drift Witbier, and we'll go into, or maybe we should just segue into other possible names for this.
So
I'll tell my story later.
Sir. Oh, okay.
Oh, you tease. Alan the tease comes out.
Stay tuned for an exclusive story by Alan.
And what's that? Breaking story. Over to Alan. Cut to camera 7. Alan, what's the story?
All right, so Dave, why'd you pick this beer?
I picked this beer because when I was in my Cascadia, my fine Cascadia with its 40-foot wall of frickin' beer, I got on my telephone and I said, "Can you get blah?" And Shane said, "No, of course I can't, because my beer stores suck." So after we spent about 2 hours on the frickin' phone, okay, can you get this one? Nope. I can get this other beer from this brewer, but I can't get that one. We finally hit upon the Fernie.
I see. So it's a Fernie Slow Drift Witbier. Now, I'll tell a bit about my story. So I went to go and look for this thing, and I was having a heck of a time. I went to my Cascadia, and they did have a wit beer there from Fernie, but it was not called Slow Drift. It was called Ol Willy Wit. So I was like, okay, well, that's not it then. But I put that one in the maybe column. So I started going online to look for a seller of the Slow Drift Wit beer from Fernie, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Tons of places had apparently stock of the Ol Willy Wit from Fernie. Then I went on to the Fernie website to discover that the Slow Drift Witbier is actually the Ol Willy Wit renamed. So I guess that happened fairly recently, and a lot of the stores out there either have old stock or haven't updated their databases yet. So even though they have the Slow Drift Witbier in stock online, it shows up as the Ol Willy Wit.
This, I believe, is a first for us. We have not had this weirdness happen in terms of labeling.
Well, we kind of did last week with the Hoyner Pilsner, but
No, yeah, okay. There's a little of that.
So what do you say we pop this thing open and have a pour?
Let's do that because Shane is just like off in who knows where.
Shane is.
I'm currently on the telephone with Locke Fulton, who is currently trying to figure out how to get into the podcast. More on that later. Over to you there, Chuck, for weather.
All right.
All right. So I am doing my pour here.
Smells good. Smells like beer.
Smells like beer.
I do like the smell.
It's got a very champagne-y kind of look to it.
It does. It's got a little bit of a champagne-y smell, I think. What do you think?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I would agree with that. Very good.
I vaguely connected. I was hanging out with my brother today a little bit, and he is known on occasion to brew some beers. And he was showing me the stuff that he happens to have on hand at the moment. And he got himself a one of those, it's kind of like a pop keg, but I guess they're also repurposed for beer.
The Cornelius keg.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird design. I hadn't seen one before. It's got basically it's a plug. He said comes out of India.
That's right.
Well, I'm used to seeing the guys that have those big black handle rubber top thingies on them,
right?
That are usually used for the pop businesses. But anyways, he's got one of those, and he got himself a carbonating rig. So he's got a canister of CO2 there that he can use to do up the carbonation. And it's awesome. He's got a 3-hose situation, so he can be carbonating 2 and keeping 1 at tap pressure, which is freaking cool. And what else did he show me? He's got a what was it? 2 or 3 malts. I know he's got a dark. He's got he's got Pilsen. 33 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of those big shit, I don't know what it is. A 10-liter bottle.
Oh, okay.
Or something. Yeah.
So what are you thinking of this wit beer?
Let's see.
I've had a few wit beers. I like this. This is very mellow, easy drinking, light. It says it's a refreshing Belgian brew with light and spicy citrus flavors. I'd agree with that assessment. You know, I've had a few wit beers. I would say there's some other wit beers that I like better than this, but this is still good. I think I would prefer...
We'll have to do one of these wit beers that you speak of as a comparison. I think we should do one of these wit beers you speak of as a comparison.
Yes. I would love to.
My experience is very limited.
Okay. Well, maybe I think it's whose pick is it next week?
I'm not even sure. Who got the Hoyne?
Mine. So in that case, I will pick something and to compare, provided Shane can get it.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. So Shane looks like he's having a lot of fun there talking to Locke.
Locke's having issues. We will be there in a moment. Please, now on to weather and traffic with Alan.
Traffic is
and his wavy hair.
Yeah. So basically, we're just killing time right now until Shane can solve Lockhart's technical issues.
Yes. Okay, let's see if I can do this here. So we have a buffalo jackknifed up here on the Ho Chi Minh. This is not looking good, ladies and gentlemen.
Meanwhile, in Chopper 2, we're flying in and we see that there's some deer taking over the highway. Hey, wait a minute. There's Chopper 1. What's Chopper 1 doing in my territory? Get out the gun. Chopper 1's going down. Maybe. Back to the studio. All right.
So
okay.
Here's another thing.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a little bit of smoke in this.
Well, there is a haze
maybe
in it. I'm kind of wondering if it's unfiltered.
Well, I'm not talking looks. I'm talking flavor.
Oh, flavor?
Do you find there's a little bit of smoke?
No.
Maybe not.
You know what? I'm detecting it only because I think you've said something. If you hadn't have said something, I wouldn't have noticed it.
This is entirely possible, and maybe I'm projecting because of, fires.
No, I've had smoky beers, and yeah, this definitely is not smoky. But all in all, I'd say it's a good beer. Thumbs up. I would recommend that you try the Fernie Brewing Company Slow Drift Witbier. And keep in mind that it may be called the Ol Willy Wit. So if you see the Ol Willy Wit or the Slow Drift Witbier, they're actually the exact same thing. Now, I would compare this for wit beers. I'm a big fan of Category 12's Waveform.
Oh, okay.
Which only comes out in the summer. It's really good. It comes in a can four pack of cans. That's a really good wit beer.
Tall boys?
Yes. I also saw some other beers that Cascadia was advertising. These were also wits on their Facebook page. One of them was called Dimwit, which I thought was
nice.
kind of
Dimwit,
which was kind of fun. I'd try it just for that name.
And in special news, tonight we bring you a special report straight from the United States of Ontario. Locke Fulton with his report on what beer he's been drinking when he can't obviously get a misnamed beer that Dave couldn't pick because he couldn't find his own butt from a hole in the ground. Locke, over to you.
There he is.
Awesome. Dude, how's it going?
How you doing?
And his internet sucks balls.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, that's a little better. Welcome to a world filled with Wi-Fi. So, yeah, Locke, how's it going, man?
Going all right. Turn this up a little. Yeah. Technical difficulties.
What are you drinking tonight, Locke?
Tequila.
Oh,
I know.
That's a new type of beer. That's that beer I've heard.
Weird beer.
Well, I'm drinking out of the bottle, if that helps.
Well,
that's absolutely.
So I haven't even opened this thing yet. Let me open this beer. Now, I was only half listening.
Open it, try it, give your review.
Let me pour this beer. Now, Locke, this beer, I don't, which you obviously didn't hear, but essentially, the beer has been renamed from Ol Willy Wit.
Yes.
To the Slow Drift. Where's my camera? The Slow Drift Witbier. And that's why I couldn't find it. It's a Fernie.
Fernie. Oh, Fernie. Right.
Okay, this
Not bad, huh?
Not bad.
Okay.
Locke is so impressed that he leaves. Hang on. Ooh, this smells good. I'm so glad that I'm going to be the only one to drink this entire thing. The peanut gallery, everyone. The peanut gallery. So, yeah, here we go. I haven't actually tried it yet, so you may as well take this pass. There you go. Do you want to say hello to the show? No? All right, you're out. Okay, you just had the beer and you're happy. All right. So the beer has a nice color. I got to give it that. It has a really nice sound. It has a really nice thing. Locke, you've muted your microphone. Are we
back? You hear
now?
me?
There you are. You're back now. You're connected twice now.
Yeah,
that's okay.
This is
just leave it on audio. It's fine the way.
Technology. Yeah.
So this beer is refreshing. It's very clean tasting. And when you pour it in correctly, it has a really great head. Look at that.
Yeah. See, mine didn't have the head on mine didn't last.
Now, Locke, what was the name of the foam if it sticks around? What is that called again?
That's head.
No. You actually had it. You had
the lacing.
Lacing.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Thank you.
See, there isn't a lot of lacing going on in this beer.
Yeah.
You know, it's disappearing fairly quickly, and that's okay. You know, I don't know if you would expect a lot of lacing from a wit beer. Myself,
I would think not. But overall, I got to say that I can't complain. I mean, there's nothing to complain about in this beer because it is exactly what I expected, except it tastes a lot better.
It's what you expected, except that it tastes better. That's always a bonus.
I know. It's a complete and utter shock to my system. It's terrible. But Dave, you did manage. Here's the thing. Dave has this weird way of choosing beer for the show that is completely there's always something wrong. Like there's always something that gets messed up that Dave can't predict. So, you know, I got to say, Dave, good job, man.
Good job.
So, Dave, are you happy with this beer? Are you happy with this choice?
Yes, I am, actually. I think this is another one that you could safely give to a newbie.
Yeah? Okay.
Because it's not something that really challenges your taste buds.
No, that might be true.
It's easy to drink. And I don't mean that in a negative way, a bad way.
It's more of a good way.
As our possibly longtime listener probably knows, I'm sort of the least schooled in suds of any of the four of us that are here at the moment.
Okay. Fair enough.
There's a term I ran into while I was in England recently that I think nails what you're going for here, and that's it's quaffable.
Yep, that's exactly what our beer club here says, because the individual who started the beer club is from England, so that's definitely where he gets that from. But Locke, I gotta ask, man, you've been gone for forever. What have your beer adventures been? You were at school. You were here for a couple episodes back in July, I think. And what have you had since then? You went to England. What did you drink there?
Okay, so I've just spent like a month and change in Oxford, and I was mostly drinking at a place called the Wheat Sheaf.
The Wheat Sheaf.
No, the Wheat Sheaf.
The Wheat Sheaf. Okay.
That's
the Wheat Sheaf. Yeah.
Very cool. Very
out of all of Central Oxford, it is the independently owned pub. Right. There's most pubs in Central Oxford are owned by, massive companies, right? Big players, breweries, whatever. the Wheat Sheaf is one of the last independents.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome place, great people. Mostly what I drank there was Trooper, which is to say that when you've got Trooper on tap all the time, it's a tempting and easy thing to do. Other notables on tap on a regular basis include Old Rosie, which is actually a cider, but it's a big bad cider, and it's dry. It's how do you say it? It's got it's like walking into a haunted house. It's got spirits.
So I have a question. I'm looking at the Wheat Sheaf on Google Street View in Oxford, England, right now.
Yeah.
It's below or above a law firm?
Probably both. So upstairs is the jazz club, where they have, like, various kinds of music playing, but upstairs there's a music hall where they actually have bands. Downstairs is a pub where it's one of the other things about it that I love is it's a place where it has a jukebox where I can throw in a couple of pound coins and get Iron Maiden, Rainbow, and Black Sabbath.
Nice.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no. It's a good joint. The people I've talked to there are fascinating and a topic in their own right. Like Kiwis, Germans, people from everywhere. But that's what you get when you're talking about a local and an independent pub, right? Now Oxford's like that anyway. You probably get people from all over in any case, but the kind of people who are going to drift towards the independent pub as opposed to the one that's commercially run by a massive company or whatever. It's a different feel. The staff act differently. The people respond differently. The whole experience is different. It really underlined to me, especially now. So what's going on in the UK right now? So Brexit is, look, I'll admit, I was in favor of Brexit, not for any of the immigration reasons. I think that's rubbish. I was in favor of it because I thought that, there's something significant about maintaining, some continuity with the roots of the common law. But I got to say, it's being handled in the worst possible way. And so ultimately the net effect is the pound is dropping like a stone. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing if you're spending Canadian dollars in the UK, but ultimately what it means is that people are flocking there for tourism reasons like crazy, and especially the Spanish, because they're all worried that post Brexit it's going to be hard to get into the country. So there's just a massive throngs of people there. The ones that end up at a place like the Wheat Sheaf, that's your discerning pub goer. That's somebody that's looking for a place that's got personality, that's got real people, that as opposed to just a sort of a standard format, right? So the whole experience with this particular pub, I can't recommend it enough. If anybody listening to this ever does go to Oxford, go to the Wheat Sheaf. Yeah, one of the many places that Winston Churchill used to drink. The truth is, Winston Churchill probably drank everywhere, so probably safe. If you're in the UK, did Winston Churchill visit it? Yeah. Did he drink there? Yeah, but you can assume so. Yeah. So, but yeah. So what else did I drink? Let me see. So here's a curiosity. So North American style IPAs have started becoming the sort of the new thing in Europe and in England. And what's crazy about it is you'll spend twice what you would spend on a North American IPA in England right now. And they don't taste any different or better. Actually, you're probably better served to do that here. What England still does better than anybody else really is your standard English bitter, right? Like it'll be about 4.5, maybe 4%, somewhere in there. It won't be fizzy. It'll have flavor. It'll be complex. It will be, to some degree, quaffable, right? They still do that better than anybody else.
I want to go there now, just because it sounds that awesome.
Make it happen.
Dave, get a plane.
Dave won't even go to Beer Fest in Victoria. What makes you think he's going to go to a pub in Oxford?
That's a good point. You suck, Dave. You're off the menu. I don't know what that even means. Zombie outbreak, everyone. So, well, that's kind of awesome. Did you go to the Bear? I'm kind of curious about that one.
The Bear? I never went to the Bear.
It's on the other side of the block. I was just curious because you actually on Google Street View.
Oh, wait a minute! No, I've totally been to the Bear. But it's not a regular for me. Like the Bear's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's I mean, a different crowd there. So the other thing about the Wheat Sheaf is it's kind of a rock and roll crowd. Right. So of the various conversations I've gone into at the Wheat Sheaf, I would never get into those conversations with the Bear. The Wheat Sheaf attracts a certain type of character, which is to say people who are sort of looking for trouble in the best possible way. There was this one occasion where I had my feet up on a stool. The stool was at a different table. The table sat 6. I was at a table that sat 2. There was 4 people over at a table that sat 4, and then they decided they wanted to sit at the table that sat 6. So this girl comes up and she says, "Move your feet out of the way. I want to sit here." And I just looked at her and I went, "No." I'm like, my feet are on the stool. I'm using the stool to put my feet up. What, you don't have to move. Why are you moving? Anyway, so within moments, this tall Irish son of a bitch steps in. He says, "Look, would you move your feet?" And I'm like, "I'm using the stool to prop my feet up. I'm comfortable right now." He says, "All right." So he takes another stool from an adjoining table, puts it over to the side. He says, "Would you accept this as an alternative?" And I said, "Absolutely. Thank you, sir." Put my feet up on the alternative stool. He says, "Where are you from?" I says, "Canada." He says, "I thought you people were supposed to be nice." I said, "We're not nice, but we are polite. There's a difference. I took the alternative stool." So within 20 minutes, the guy's trying to get me into a drinking competition. Now I know better than to get into a drinking competition with an Irishman. That's not going to happen. But we did have an excellent conversation, and that's the kind of thing that happens at the Wheat Sheaf, right? It's that kind of a place. I met one of the most beautiful women I've ever met in my life at the Wheat Sheaf while I was
Tell
there.
us more.
So, for all that she was very, very beautiful, she was dressed kind of like she was in the army. Now, here, this is bizarre because, truthfully, I mean, if you've listened to me rant, you know that I'm. I pick any argument ultimately for argument's sake, but it's rare that I find myself sitting for 3 hours talking to a German socialist and finding myself going, yeah, Jesus, you're fascinating and smart and intelligent and kind of wonderful. But that's what happened. Now she's working at the Ashmolean Museum, which is one of the best museums in the UK, and a totally fascinating character. She had interesting things to say about the fact that Canada. I don't know if any of you know this, but Canada actually in the 1970s, maybe 80s, experimented with universal minimum income in a couple of towns in Manitoba.
Yeah, I just read about that a little while ago.
Yeah, and interestingly, in terms of solving social problems, in terms of corrective stuff that didn't need to happen because of this program, it was actually a net savings in terms of total social expenditures, right? Which is to say that as with preventative medicine, if you keep people outside of dire poverty right from the outset, the social ills that you need to then address later don't exist.
Yeah.
It's a better policy, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Not the sort of thing that I necessarily gravitate towards, but that's why the Wheat Sheaf is cool, right? You end up meeting people who don't necessarily think the same as you, and you end up finding out something new. So yeah, I mean, a fascinating, wonderful experience. Yeah. What other nice things can I say about the Wheat Sheaf? There's no way that it'll be listening, but one of the bartenders, Jack, is a fucking. He's sort of an asshole, but he's my kind of asshole. The number of times
Jack's an asshole, but we love him anyway.
Well, the number of times where he went around doing get out of the fucking bar, but gave me a sort of a side note of, yeah, not you, you're fine. Little things like that. Really, I mean, they make a place, don't they?
That is true. That is very true.
Huh.
Cool.
Kind of makes me want to move there.
Come
on, Dave. Get a plane.
All right. Done.
I gotta say though, property prices in Oxford, Jesus Christ, it makes Vancouver seem like a bargain.
Really?
Yeah, Toronto's apparently crashing a little bit right now.
Good, should do.
They're having a bubble correction apparently now.
Yeah, well,
there's a lot of pissed off people who are walking away.
I have to assume that there are a few such out there in the works, but
yeah, well, this it was on the news yesterday. They were talking about how there's a lot of people who are basically they purchased a property or agreed to purchase it like a month ago or so, and in that sort of time frame as all this stuff was being worked out for paying, the prices took a dive, and so they some people are like, well, we haven't signed any paperwork yet, so we're out. So something that when they were buying $800,000, they were it was almost dropping, and one of the things was dropped to like $100,000 or something. I guess it varies from area to area, so who knows. But like the bidding wars really drove prices up, and that's sort of what people did. They were like, "Yep, fuck this, we're out." But what can you do?
Nice.
there was actually some beer news that I wanted to ask you guys about. Of course, I haven't grabbed the link yet, so hang on.
For those following Rogue in Oregon, I'm on their mailing list. So they've started building their own barrels. They now have officially entered the now what's the term for that? Hold on, let me get it properly, because normally I know this kind of shit, but it's not bawdry, that's chair making. What the hell is it?
Chair making?
Yeah. A bodger is a chair maker.
Oh.
It's sort of like knowing the proper term for like a murder of crows, or what is it?
Do you mean coopering?
Coopering, exactly. Yeah. So Rogue now have a coopering operation. Yeah, no. Thank you, Dave. I'm very pleased that you know the proper term for people who make barrels is coopering. Yeah, correct. Yeah, so they now have their own coopering operation, and they are taking their coopered barrels. They are drenching it in their dead guy whiskey, because they're making whiskey.
Oh, wow.
And then, having drenched their barrels with dead guy whiskey, which I'm assuming they're using to contain the said whiskey, which is a surprising fact, because if they're calling it whiskey, I'm assuming that means that it's been around for long enough for it to be whiskey and not spirit. You understand the difference, right? Like, for it to be whiskey, it's got to be aged at least 2 years, right?
3 years in Canada.
3 years, probably, yeah. Probably should be 10, but whatever the case, the barrels are then being used to flavor some of their beers. Yeah.
That sounds like an innocent gun move.
Yeah, well, it's pretty vertically integrated, and it's like Innocent Gun plus IKEA, but yeah.
Okay, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know how to follow that up. The story that I found today was something I wanted to ask whether you guys thought it would happen here, because we have a number of private liquor stores and things like that. But if grocery stores start to carry liquor, there's a very iconic, at least to me, it's iconic because it's not out this way. It's back east. But there's a place called, quite clearly, the beer store. And the beer store, apparently, I mean, this article is kind of trying to say that craft breweries and grocery stores are hitting it pretty hard. But their income is like cut in half from this time last year.
Good.
And they're blaming these
So
stores.
the beer store is a statutory monopoly, which is owned by Sapporo, Molson Coors, InBev, and maybe like a handful of the other largest bottling companies on the planet. I recently heard an interesting comment, which was that the reason that the beer store existed at all, how this statutory monopoly came into place in the first place, campaign contributions, political campaign contributions. That's how that happened.
Seriously?
Seriously, but Ontario's full of that shit. I mean, this is how the game has been played in this province for so fucking long that it's not even funny. There are some upsides to like ghost effects of that that paradigm that have their charm. Like, I mean, there's an after hours club in Toronto which literally is run by the cops. It's sort of ridiculous. Like the way it works. They have bands. Everybody goes in, finds their place at the table, and then they literally have guys with sacks of Mickeys of hard liquor that walk around to the tables and sell you Mickeys, because that's a normal fucking procedure, right?
That's
one of
the coolest things I've ever heard.
The Matador Club. Yeah, that's how the Matador Club used to work. I'm not even sure if it still exists, but that used to be the after hours booze up in Toronto. Like this province is still operating kind of like under a political regime that probably evolved from prohibition in the States.
Weird.
Yeah, like it's definitely a little odd. Like I said, that the Matador Club has its charms, but for the most part, it's just straight up bullshit. But what I can tell you is the bullshit is hitting the fan, because Loblaws now carries beer and wine.
Okay.
Which is like one of the major like grocery chains in Ontario. Now, I've heard some shady comments about who owns and runs Loblaws too, but you know, at the end of the day, Ontario's all that way, so you just have to roll with it. But yeah, the greatest impediment to craft beer in Ontario ultimately is legislative. It's all a bunch of, you know, sort of last century statute that nobody's gotten around to fixing yet, which is surprising given that you had a character like, but I mean, Rob Ford, you know, what did Rob Ford care about the law? I mean, shit, he was fucking smoking crack, so there you go.
Yeah.
Damn that crack. You can't escape it. It's terrible.
When they have crack at the Loblaws, then my eyebrows will raise.
True. Well, yeah. Well, you'll be happy to know that they lost about $10 to $11 million in revenue from this time last year.
Oh, good.
Woohoo! So there you are. And I will point out the grocery stores in the province of Ontario went from 0 in 2015 to $140 million this year. So
yeah,
they're probably going to pummel them a bit harder at some point.
I have a feeling there's a having had a taste, I have a feeling they'll want more.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially because I know that BC is talking about this as well, about allowing grocery stores to start doing this. I haven't looked it up recently. Maybe tomorrow is the starting of that. So
given the amount of difficulty that used to be associated with getting yourself a license to sell liquor, and I'm talking about independent liquor stores, opening those doors to fucking, you know, every grocery store in BC.
Right.
In terms of fairness, you do have to ask the question, like, okay, so you made us run through all of these hoops in order to get approved, to get our business up and running, and now you're just gonna open the floodgates and drown us all? Like,
you never know. It could happen. I mean, look at it this way. Beer.
Sure. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, so what's going to happen to all of those privately owned businesses that went through the hoops to get themselves a liquor license to sell beer outside of, you know, the LBCO or whatever?
I don't know.
What happens? I mean, what happens to those businesses? You know, how do they reframe in order to maintain their? I mean, is there an opportunity for them to? I mean, I guess the ones that are interested in carrying interesting products that you know, that captivate people's attention, right?
Right.
As opposed to what are going to get generally stocked at all the grocery stores, right?
Yeah.
They will be the ones that survive, one supposes, right?
You'd think so. I mean, I think that a lot of this, I mean, from my experience here in this province about, and since we started doing this podcast, and about seeing like the disjointedness of how just nuts it is to get the same beer in the same location from the same store, is kind of strange to me. Not that I would expect it to be the same sort of thing every single place I go, but if you think about it, the what's the word I'm looking for? If they were to take their stores and become sellers of unique beer, like importing Trooper or some sort of, you know, stuff that's out there that you actually want to get, like I was at the Legacy Liquor Store yesterday getting this beer that we had tonight, and I took a bunch of photos of beers I had not heard of yet, places, some breweries that I hadn't heard of. And I did the same thing. I traveled around that store last night looking for different things that I'd never seen before. And there's a lot of it. There's a lot of breweries around, but again, would this beer be available in places that we could all actually successfully find it? And I don't know, maybe that's the way to go, to diversify their importing, essentially, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Does that make any sense? But yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't change the fact that there is a film right now coming out this week called Sharknado 5 Global Swarming. So with a follow-up film called Five-Headed Shark Attack, which I can't remember who I watched it with, but I did watch Three-Headed Shark Attack a year or so ago. Very enjoyable film. Shark Eats Island. How can it get any better than that? Five-Headed Shark Attack. That's how.
Oh.
See, there's a curatorial aspect to this game, which is to say that, you know, like, beer, unlike shark movies, can't be downloaded. So if you're gonna bring all the craziest, like, 3-headed, 5-headed, 10-headed sharks into one building, everybody's got to go to that building in order to get those beers.
Well, exactly, and that's the reality, right? I mean, and you're right, actually, because I've been talking about this for years now, about how the future of a lot of what we're dealing with these days is curation. It's going to be curated info, and we see it all the time, but it has not, at least from my experience, hasn't really hit a lot of the hasn't really hit the mainstream kind of world yet. Like, speaking, you know, just to keep it running with the films, Netflix is a place where you can go and see a variety of films. Is it curated? Not really. But if you look at HBO, who's like now saying, hey, you need to come and watch our thing, or Disney's launching their own streaming service for all their films. Who else? Last year,
you know who do that? You know who have to do that because of the nature of their business is Turner Classic Movies.
That's the thing, but a lot of these companies don't realize that, and they still don't realize. And I actually am kind of upset with HBO as well. Is that if you want in our country to get HBO Go, which is what their streaming service is called, you still have to have a cable. you still have to have a cable provider in order to subscribe to those services.
Yeah.
Which to me is the stupidest thing ever. Down, Maya! Down, Maya! Down! But it just points out that there's still this disconnect between what viewers have been doing for the last, I'll say the last 5 years to what viewers are going to be doing 10 years from now, because cable companies know they've seen people being, no, I'm going to go and stream on this service or that service, or I don't need you. Just give me the internet. I don't want your cables. I don't want cable service. Thanks so much. I haven't had cable service since 1999, 2000. So, I'm quite used to surviving and, doing whatever for TV. But it's interesting that these services that have, HBO Go launched last year, maybe the year before, and it's still, no, you have to have a cable package in order to have this. I'm just like, no, fuck, screw you. I'm not going to watch your shit. Then I'll download it illegally if I really, really want to. Suck my balls. And this is the thing that they, when the Game of Thrones television program came out this year with their latest season, they bitched the first episode because something like 90 million people downloaded it. And instead of saying, maybe we should not have it so that people in countries have to have a cable thing, maybe those 90 people would pay us, $2.99 or $5.99 a month to come and join our streaming service. Why are they not doing that? Why is that such a difficult thing for them to pull off? Because to me, instead of bitching and moaning, why don't they jump on it and go, you know what? Oh God, we got to put this shit on Netflix, or we got to put this shit on our own thing, or we got to, there's 100 things they could do. And I
imagine they got very sound legal advice not to do so from somebody who probably made more from their fee as a lawyer than was on the table for the whole fucking project, period. Right?
You look at the biggest successful films of late, and with ignoring Star Wars and sort of big franchises, but surprise films like Pacific Rim, which is, when you look at it on the surface, it's kind of a stupid movie. It's kind of ridiculous. It's like a comic book come to life. But boil it all down, sometimes you just want to see big, humongous robots punch the shit out of
some people bring comic books to life more vividly than other people, and that's one of those examples.
Exactly. You just want to see those things kicking each other's asses, and who cares what happens otherwise? Forget it. You don't really care. You just oh look, it got punched again.
It's the best Robot Jocks movie I've ever seen.
And it has a sequel coming up, by the way.
What?
Oh yeah. There's actually a trailer. There's a trailer already out for what's it called? Pacific Rim. Let me look it up now because I gotta know. Pacific Rim
2 Ring of Fire.
I thought I misunderstood. I thought you said that there was a sequel for Robot Jocks coming out.
Oh my God! I would totally see that too. Are you kidding? I'm gonna get in this thing and I'm gonna kick your ass. Yes, Pacific Rim Uprising comes out next year, starring what's his face with the lightsaber from Force Awakens.
I would just like to say that I like the subtitle of Ring of Fire a lot better.
Hey, what can you say?
So thank you for that, Locke.
Thank you. My pleasure.
That's probably the third film. I was just gonna say Star Wars Ring of Fire. No, it doesn't quite have the same ring to it. Anyway, on that note, everybody, has anybody got anything else to say about beer this week, or science fiction, or Dave's lack of going to Beer Fest?
No,
I think we're good.
Locke, you're returning to school before Beer Fest, I imagine, are you not?
Yeah. Well, so when is Beer Fest?
September 8th.
8th.
Yeah, no. Classes start on the 1st. I think I think I'm doomed this time around. I can justify last time I went down like on the 20th of August and then came back for the 8th, but this time I'm yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Okay.
No, that's that. Oh, I assumed you would actually be off by then. So, all right, boys and girls, thank you so much for watching. This has been the Crafty Boys, episode 113. I can't believe we're over 100 episodes, but there you go. Suck it. Yeah, we'll be back next week with another beer. Who's choosing? I think we decided this early in the show, but I think it's Alan.
Yeah, I got something in mind.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Otherwise, thank you so much. Alan, take us out.